Okay. I don't know what that means. Okay. I am going to proceed because I see some people are here. Let me try something. You know, there have been some glitches lately. Let me just see if I can see anything. Okay, so maybe it must have been operator error because everybody else was here. Okay, so I am continuing on. So talking about the Houston Rockets, they've won 6 games in a row, had a franchise record of 28 threes made last night. Well, one from tying the NBA record. They're second in the NBA. And so, you know, when we last talked about records with this team and 3-pointers, we talked about all those threes they missed in the Golden State in the Western Conference Finals a few years ago when they missed, 27 threes? Anyway, they made 28 threes last night and on the way to handily defeating the Oklahoma City Thunder. They'll play them again on tomorrow night, you know, because of the way the schedule is. So I want to let you hear from Coach Silas. And he talks a bit about how what you're seeing with the Rockets really is about their defense. And that's one of the things that they really have always stressed. I mean, with this, you know, they said it before, but with this, I guess, administration or this group, this leadership, defense is really important. They went from having being toward the bottom in defense, and now they, since the trade, are ranked as having the best defense in the league. So this is Coach Silas after last night's game, talking about the team and where they are now.
First question, Kelly Eco.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, we talked about the need for stronger starts, and a 48-point first quarter does a lot of that. But what impressed you in that stretch in terms of just the team carrying out your offense and moving the ball and just a all-around effort?
Yeah, as we've kind of talked about a few times, the start of the game has been something that we've been focusing on, and tonight it was our defense. I mean, we did have 48 points, but I chose to focus on the 24 that we gave up, and we were switching and we were active and we were making it hard on them. So then we were able to run out, and when we run and we get the ball up the floor quickly, we're pretty good. But I think you see the team coming together as far as the
unselfish play and guys figuring out where other guys can be successful, and the ball movement has been really, really good as far as getting the ball into the paint, making a play, drawing a second offender, and our three-point shooting is, shoot, what were we? 28 for 52 tonight, 28 threes, because we're moving the ball off of penetration, rolls, all of those things. It's really fun to watch the group come together in that way.
Jonathan Fagan.
So, like you said, it's fun to watch. And you've heard that word fun quite a bit, right? You heard Eric Gordon say a few days ago that, they're having fun. And it's basketball, it is a business, but that you would think that this is the kind of job that you should have fun with. He was asked about that. He, being Coach Silas, was asked about that last night, whether or not he's having fun.
First question, Kelly Eco.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, we talked about the need for stronger start.
Okay, so that's not where it is. Why didn't it do that? Okay, let me take it down and bring you that. I had it all set up for you. It's supposed to queue up at a certain place. So he did talk about having fun, and let me see if I can get him to that point. Let's try it again.
First
Jones played well, Sterling. I mean, everybody. Those guys came in and played really well tonight. That's what we're gonna need, especially the way the season is, with 72 games, playing every other day. We have 5 and 7 coming up, so the depth is going to be very important. So for these guys to have the rhythm that they have right now and continue to improve is going to be important as we move forward.
Mark Berman.
Stephen, I think you've been asked this question once or twice, but Eric tweeted the other day how much fun he's having, talked about having fun. Are you having fun right now, or is the job of being the head coach keep you from really having fun when your team is playing this well?
Team is playing this well. I'm having a blast. I'm having fun. I'm not gonna wait 20 years to be a head coach and not have fun doing it. So even when times are hard, and even when times are
shaky as they were kind of at the beginning, I'm gonna have fun throughout the time, whether it's fun attacking a challenge or fun enjoying my staff or the guys on the team. It's got to be fun. And I learned that from Don Nelson. I learned that from my dad. I learned that from a lot of guys, where it's possible to have fun in this position. But like I said, I'm not going to wait as long as I waited and be miserable as I'm going through it, regardless of the win and loss.
So that was Coach Silas talking about having fun, and it has to do with, a lot of it has to do with mindset, and it has to do with, the players buying in, people that want to be here, be a part of this team, being a part of this team. And listen, they've won 6 in a row. They're going to hit some rough patches. There's a lot of basketball left. You're talking about being 10-9. That's 19 games out of a 72-game season. So, I wouldn't quite put them in the finals just yet. But I do think we said all along that this team would be competitive and they'd be a good a team you'd want to watch. And so that's what you see, but they are going to have some rough patches. They're going to lose some games. They may even lose a few in a row again, but it is just good to see what they can do. And they have things to build on, because they're still trying to get everybody healthy and, really kind of everybody's on board, but get everybody healthy, and you're learning so much new in terms of what they're doing. Boogie Cousins last night, playing good, coming in off the bench, playing well. And one of the things too is last night, I don't think no Rocket player played more than 27 minutes. And when you're trying to, when you have all these games in a row, if you will, you're playing so close together pretty much every other day. You need to give people some rest. And so, being able, I just want to be sure, I think the most minutes, PJ Tucker and Christian Wood each played 26 minutes. Eric Gordon had played 20, Daniel House played 25 minutes off the bench. Nobody played more than 26 minutes last night. So that's how you keep your guys fresh and hopefully keep them healthy. Boogie Cousins had 17 points last night, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. They seem to be managing their turnovers. Let's see what they did last night in terms of turnovers. They had 11 turnovers last night, 20 fouls. They were 28 of 52 from 3. That was about 54% from 3. They were 49 of 102 from the field. They took 102 shots last night. But one of the things that tells you is they're moving the ball really well. There's good ball movement. They're playing defense, where on the other hand, Oklahoma City only took 89 shots and they shot about 44%. So they won the rebound battle at 50 rebounds. They won the turnover battle. They had more fouls. They had more assists. The points in the paint were about the same. The bench, they had 68 points off the bench. That's big. That's impressive. And their largest lead was was 2 points last night. So, you know, this team has some things to be proud of and to look forward to. And so here's Boogie Cousins.
We'll get started. Jonathan Fagan.
Hi, Marcus. How aware were you guys of the record, the franchise record, and also the NBA record for three-pointers, and what are you going for?
Honestly, I had no clue. Towards the end, the guys started screaming and shoot. I had no clue what was going on at the game. You know, guys started screaming and shoot the ball. I just fired up 2 long balls at the end. Obviously, it wasn't successful. But I became aware towards the end, and it was a little too late, in my opinion, at that point.
Is it fun being in that situation?
Say that again?
Normally, you wouldn't be, you know, throughout your career on the floor in that part. Was that fun to be in that situation?
I mean, with my situation, I'm trying to get as many reps, as much playing time as possible. You know, those minutes were valuable for me. So, I'm fortunate to be in a situation where we can, you know, have the guys come in and finish out the game. So, for others, maybe not, but for me, those are valuable minutes.
Thank you.
Kelly Ego.
Hey, DeMarcus, just what has impressed you the most about how you guys have played offensively in terms of sharing the ball and just the spacing on the court?
It's a good group, right? Everybody's bought in. Everybody cares about each other. When you get a group like that, genuinely just enjoy playing basketball, enjoy seeing each other successful, enjoy getting a W, and knowing that's the common goal throughout the group. You can't ask for more. It's fun to play basketball. It's fun to come to work. That's just setting a good environment and a good work environment and just a good chemistry throughout the team. So I think it's great.
A good chemistry throughout the team, fun to come to work, fun environment. You know, admittedly, you know, there were hiccups to start this season. It didn't start like that. It wasn't really fun when they started the season just because they had some unresolved issues, you know, in terms of just personnel. And since they've made those, they've made those adjustments or handled those issues, however you want to say it, the team seems to be headed in the right direction. So, you know, that is, where is that? Let me hide this one. Okay. So yeah, that's what you want. You want a situation where everybody buys in because it is a team, right? It is a team. It's a team game. And you've got to have that. And so just to see that kind of energy, that kind of chemistry, because that's a big part of it. And it doesn't mean that they won't have blow-ups and you know, getting each other's faces sometime. They talked about that last night, how, you know, even when we criticize each other, you know where it's coming from, and everybody's good with it, right? Because we're all about trying to make the other person better and to be collectively good as a team, which was why it is the environment that it is. So that was Boogie Cousins last night. John Wall also talked with us after the game, and let's see here.
We'll get started. First question, Kelly Ego.
Hey, John, you talked about a lot about how you worked on your jump shot over the past 2 years, you know, while you were out. It seems like the last 2 games you've been super aggressive in that aspect, you know, taking the 8 or 9 threes. What are you seeing from the defense, and just how much work did you put in on your jump shot when you were out?
For one, I finally could jump. You know what I mean? Like, people don't understand. I can't wait to tell my story of the 2 bone spurs I played with, the one in my knee and the one in my heel. Like, if you see those, you're like, no way this guy played basketball the last couple of years. He was an all-star. So it's just a hard testimony to all the hard work and dedication I put into my game. Working with my trainer, Alex McLean, like, he did a great job of pushing me, working with me every day, and just doing the things that I needed to do. You know what I mean? I told him I know how to finish at the rim, I know how to get to the basket. But let's work on shooting off the dribble. Let's work on catch and shoot, a lot of threes, and a lot of ball handling. And in due time, it's going to pay off. A lot of guys still going these screens against me. They help a lot when I'm spotted up. You know what I mean? I know how much work I put in. It's going to be nice when I make a lot. It's going to be nice when I miss them. But as long as they're good shots, and I know the reasons why I'm missing or making shots now, so I know how to make that adjustment. It makes my game a lot easier and a lot better.
So John Wall, who, you know, we talked about when the Rockets acquired him for Russell Westbrook, that this would be, it's a great addition if he can stay healthy, right? We keep saying that about him, about Boogie Cousins, of course, now about Victor Oladipo. And he said something really interesting. He said, you know, his jump shot was off because he couldn't jump. And so while I've never played professional basketball, I have had bone spurs in my ankle. In fact, that was the last surgery I had on my ankle, which of course goes back to the injury from my days in college. But they can be very painful just in being able to walk. And so to play at that level, he had one in his heel and his knee. He has he's worked to overcome a lot of injury, and I really help. The good thing is he's young enough. Hopefully he can continue to be strong and healthy. He doesn't look like he's favoring anything, or that he's hesitant about how he is pushing up the floor. So hopefully he can continue to be healthy, because I think this team, if they can stay healthy, a collective healthy. I mean, Eric Gordon's going to get banged up a little bit. That's who he is. That's what he does every year. But I mean, he's going to give you a lot. Victor Oladipo he's good. Like we've seen how he plays. We're seeing John Wall, and Christian Wood is just, you know, a little underrated, you know, and it's a great find for Rafael Stone. I mean, when you look at what he has been able to do with this team to retool this team, you've got to be somewhat impressed. Again, I'm not saying they're headed to the NBA Finals or even the Western Conference Finals. I've always thought they'd be really competitive. Right now, they're in the 8th spot. There's a lot of basketball left. And so if they can continue to play and grow, and listen, Rafael has some picks. He's got some options. He could make another move. All right. We're going to put a pin in talking about the Rockets for a moment and go over to talk about your favorite dysfunctional football team. That will be the Houston Texans. It is a debacle. It is a mess. And so I said something to someone earlier, and I'm going to share it with you here now. I am not convinced that the Texans want Deshaun to stay. I don't believe they do. In fact, I think they don't want him to stay. I think they want him to go, and they want to get the draft picks so that they can build the team that they want to build. Now, I know that sounds crazy, okay? Bear with me here. These are not my thoughts. I think Deshaun is the best thing that happened to this team, and they should do whatever it takes to keep him. But I don't think they want him, and here's why. So I had someone close to the team tell me a few weeks ago, they said, well, you know, Kim, there's some people, and I said that then, I said, I'm not convinced that they want Deshaun to stay. The first reason I said it is because when the team had the press conference announcing Nick Caserio, the new general manager, or introducing him, and the first question was asked, are you going to trade Deshaun Watson? And the answer by Nick Caserio and Cal McNair was the same. He's our quarterback. I was like, They never said no. My response would have been absolutely not. Whatever's going on, we're going to work it out. Deshaun is a huge part of what we do here, and we are counting on him being a part of this organization for years to come. And so we feel we're confident that we can create the environment that would want Deshaun to be here, but absolutely not. There's no question about us trading Deshaun. That's not an option. I mean, I needed something kind of along those lines, or I was expecting something along those lines. And so when I didn't hear that, I said, it's what they didn't say, right? Not what they did say. It's like, no, he's our quarterback. No, they said he's our quarterback. Well, of course he's your quarterback. Now they've gone to Nick Caserio referring to him as the player. You can't even say his name? That's a level of disrespect. Let me just tell you that, okay? So I'm talking to this person, this close to the organization, who says to me, well, you know, Kim, there are people in the organization that think he may only have 3 or 4 more good years to play because of the style of play. I was like, oh, Lord. Are you kidding me? 3 or 4 more years, Deshaun Watson? So here's a little news flash. He's a pocket passer. He's not RG3. He's not even Lamar Jackson. He is a pocket passer that has the ability to run and to make things happen with his legs. But that's craziness. And at that moment, I said, yeah, they don't want him here. You know, they want him to go. They can get something for him, and you know, kind of restock their draft capital, since they allowed the last guy that came in to destroy that, right? To give it all away, to make awful moves. So they're going from one awful move to another, right? If you even go back to Dwayne Brown, that move when they traded Dwayne Brown, instead of just paying the man, Dwayne Brown would have been great for the organization. Then you wait a couple years and you go and you give up 2 first rounds and a second round for Laramie Tunsil? Seriously? You let the Jadeveon Clowney go where you pay part of his salary, okay, for him to go, almost half of it, if I remember correctly, or at least a portion of it. And I mean, the portion was like either $7 or $9 million. So you paid him to go away. That was personal. And then you give away DeAndre Hopkins, okay? And now you're going to make a move on Deshaun Watson. This organization has a history of being who they are. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm just going to tell you that. They have a history of, it just doesn't smell, it doesn't pass the smell test for me, right? And so now when they talk to Nick Caserio, he talks about Deshaun and refers to him as the player. The player? His name's Deshaun Watson. So yeah, Deshaun wants out. And this is the other thing. So last Friday is when they announced, or Thursday night, it was clear, and then Friday they introduced the new head coach, who by all accounts could be a good head coach. He's 65 years old. He's never been a head coach or coordinator. Wasn't interviewed by anybody else. And doesn't mean he can't coach, right? Because he's a black man. And what I'm saying is we don't always get opportunities, but you skip over the Bieniemys and the Byron Leftwich, and then there's so many others, right? You skip over, and this is who you hire. So first thing it tells you, it's temporary, right? Because you're not hiring a guy at 65 to be the long-term future of your team. You're just not. But the other thing it says is, it's a smokescreen. So you hire him, and then you, the organization, announce that Deshaun has demanded a trade. Well, that wasn't new. He did that weeks ago. So you said, well, we're going to announce that we hired the black head coach, and then we're going to tell people Deshaun wants out. So you're trying to create a narrative. To me, this is my Kim Davis, analysis, but it looks like you're trying to create a narrative and a storyline about Deshaun. But, it's not anything racial, because there are things in the organization that can make you say, what are they doing over there? Because you can say, well, listen, we hired the guy we had as the head coach is black. So you would say, well, Kim, why would they hire somebody temporarily? Because it helps them through this move, and it gets them to what they clearly want to do. Because remember, the week before, they interviewed Josh McCown for the head coaching position. He's never coached. They hired him. Jack Easterby hired him under Bill O'Brien to come in as kind of the de facto quarterback coach. He's been a journeyman quarterback, a backup. He hasn't even, I don't think, officially retired from the league. But you interviewed him for the head coach position. That's insulting. It is really insulting. And you released it to people. So you want people to know. So to me, what they're doing is, we're going to bring in these guys with experience. You're going to keep Tim Kelly, bring in Leslie Frazier. We have Cully. We're going to teach Josh McCown. We're going to get him ready to be the next head coach of the Houston Texans, and he will be. That's how I see it. Now, maybe I'm wrong. In this case, I would love to be proved wrong. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome to the show. Thank you, my friend. Hey, Rita. My cousin is on with us this morning, and my sister, who says she couldn't find us earlier, is here. And Charles is talking about those Rockets. They hustle and play hard. Yes, they do. They hustle and play hard. They're fun to root for. But back to these Texans. Y'all, that's what I think is happening. That's what I think is happening. I think that they are setting it up to make a move to get rid of Deshaun Watson and give themselves some cover and say, well, you know what? Listen, he didn't want to be here. We hired a black coach. But I want to be clear about something. It's not just about hiring a black coach, okay? It is about the culture, and it's about what coach? Which coach? right? But that speaks volumes. It talks a lot of it says a lot about this organization and what they think about the team, what they think about the community. And it's just, listen, don't fall for it. It's a smokescreen. And the minute I saw that, and then when I saw the coach and his fiery, and that could just be just who he is. I don't know him, his fiery presence. And I'm sure he's a great guy. He's going to be here and I'm going to coach him. Man, you're not going to coach him. He's not going to be here. And I was a little, I'm going to tell you, when asked about the challenges for minority coaches in the National Football League, and he said something along the lines of the NFL does a good job with minority coaches. I officially checked out, because no, they don't. No, they don't. They do an awful job, right? They do an awful job. That's not the truth. They don't do a good job. You got Mike Tomlin. You have Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, who's been there forever. You have Brian Flores in Miami, and now you've got Cully in Houston. That's not a good job. You have, once again, that Byron Leftwich didn't even get an interview. You had Bieniemy get an interview, but kind of just to say they could check the box. We know when people are checking the box. We know when they are checking the box. And so I've seen some of the national guys say, the NFL should do some investigating. I don't really know how you do that. What do you investigate? It's an organization. It's privately owned. Of course, you do have to have the right to own it, but you got it now. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Hey, good morning, Izzy. Good morning. Thank you for tuning into the show. We missed you on Friday, my friend. Rita, that's all I can do is really tell it like it is. But I just think it doesn't pass the smell test. And of course, Sylvia says that's why I dumped the Texans as her team. She is a Saints fan, so to speak, because she refuses to be a Dallas Cowboys fan. All right. I think this Texans situation is going to get worse before it gets better. Because here's the other thing. It is not just Deshaun that has these strong feelings about the organization. There are so many in that locker room who are feeling disenfranchised, is the word I'll use. Yes, it's a job. Yes, they're paid well, but let's not do that. It doesn't mean that you should be treated any kind of way. And, the whole good evangelical thing, listen, especially over the past few years, from what that term has come to mean to me, it's not necessarily positive. I love the Lord. I'm a Christian, but some of these folk that are parading around as evangelicals, they kind of devilish. I'm just going to say it. You can't hide behind religion and think that whatever you do is okay. So what is going to be the culture in this organization? That even on the business side, people are disgruntled and uncomfortable because of the presence of Jack Easterby, a man that Cal McNair refuses to divorce himself from. I mean, he went down the road with Bill O'Brien, which is really how we got to Jack Easterby. And you see what that did to the organization before they finally said, okay, Bill, we can't take it anymore. He destroyed the organization, right? He put him in a hole. Don't credit Bill O'Brien with Deshaun Watson. That's a Rick Smith move. That was a Rick Smith move. And although people want to give Rick Smith a hard time and say what he didn't do, let's be clear. He wouldn't be doing the mess that's happening now. He wouldn't have gotten rid of Jadeveon Clowney. I don't believe he definitely would not have given up all that they gave up for Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills. And he certainly would not have gotten rid of DeAndre Hopkins, right? Those things would not have happened. And he wouldn't be referring to Deshaun Watson as the player. It's just bad. It's a bad look. It's a bad move. And you're right, Carolyn, it just smells rotten. And, I pay attention. But here's the thing. In this age of COVID and the pandemic, and with all the press conferences being on Zoom, the Texans are really the only place where when they have press conferences, I rarely get to ask questions, especially now, especially because last year I asked a question about their lack of diversity, the lack of having Black people at the executive level. Ever since then, like, I've never had a chance to ask Cal McNair a question. And I've actually reached out to Cal McNair on my own, right? And he never responded. And so they don't want any part of it. They're going to talk to the same people. You're going to get the questions from the guy from the Chronicle. And that's just who the organization is. With the Rockets, if you're a part of their regular media corps, if you're credentialed to be there, they're going to give you an opportunity to be a part of it. So, you know, I asked questions last night. I've accessed just like, you know, the other people in the media, not so with the Texans. It's very controlled. Now, who knows what happens when we get beyond the pandemic and we're able to be in person doing interviews. At that point, it's kind of difficult for them to keep you from asking a question because you're in the room. Now, what could happen is I may not be allowed back in the room. And I'm okay with that because what I'm not going to do is not ask the real and the pressing questions, because what they have going on over there it's hypocrisy. You know, they go from 1 minute talking about taking a knee, which miss me on taking a knee. I'm over it because that's not enough. That is not enough. What do you do beyond that? Y'all 5 years late, 4 years late on the knee. We're on to the next thing, you know? And so I just think that now we're seeing what the Texans are doing. We're seeing who they are. And listen, it's not even just the Texans. As you look around companies and corporations, retail outlets, businesses, what they, you know, listen, last summer, when collectively the world took just a big pause and stop as we gasped, as we saw George Floyd murdered on international television, right? You would have to be inhumane, right, to not have felt something. You know, the world was kind of still. There was not a lot going on. We were in our homes. We saw that over and over on television. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is what they're talking about. So yeah, people came out and they said, it's horrible. You know, that was awful. That happened. It happened. And you don't really get any credit for that, for me, right? That's just a little bit of human decency. But what did you do after that? You talked about, we see the issue. We understand about some of the things that Black people have been talking about, the issues with the police brutality and the injustices that our community faces. We also realize that there's a lack of equity, not just diversity, but equity and inclusion is important because diversity becomes checking a box. Okay, listen, the Attorney General in Kentucky is Black. That's checking a box. That's not inclusion, and it's being inclusive is having people with different backgrounds and ideas and philosophies about stuff. If you just go and find the few who may look a little different, but they're not, like a Clarence Thomas or the Daniel Cameron, or, you know, and there's so many others, that's not inclusion. And it absolutely is not equity. So the question becomes, what do you do about the Texans and their real lack of equity and inclusion in that organization? What do you do about it? Listen, you guys, if you've been around a while and you remember the Houston Oilers, some of you might not have liked Bud Adams, but Bud Adams wasn't this, right? Bud Adams brought us Warren Moon. He brought us Steve McNair. And he, although he fell out with the city about a stadium, you know, and he ended up taking the team and going to Tennessee. That team did at least get to a Super Bowl. It didn't win one. But this wasn't Bud Adams, right? And so for all of those who complained about Bud Adams and things he did, and I'm not now putting wings on him since he's not here anymore, but this Texans organization, it is for just a certain part of the community. And so, yes, they are philanthropic. And yes, they have put money into the Y, and they've made a lot of donations. That's great. But who are they as people? And what do they think about us as people? And how are they treating people in the building? Right? How are they treating the players? Like the help? Well, pretty much. The new general manager said, well, we're going to do something with the player. We're going to keep the player or whatever. I just know he called him a player. And I know that was a huge flag for me. So I'll be paying attention. As I said, I don't have all the access to the Texans as some of my white counterparts. Let me just be real honest about that. But as much as I can, and I do, I will keep you informed. And here's the thing. I got to tell it like it is and tell you what I see. And if it means I don't have the same access, well, then so be it. Because what's the point of me being in the room if I'm not giving it, if I'm not pressing the envelope, if I'm not asking the right questions, if I'm not, we got to hold people accountable. And so don't be so enamored about a game. It's a lot of stuff you can do on Sunday. I'm not telling you not to watch it or not to go, but I think we do have to ask the tough questions. Who's supporting us? We support so many people. What are we asking of folk, right? What are we asking of folk? And speaking of asking, before we get out of here today, I like to always give you all something to do. Right now, we are in this pandemic and things are crazy, right? There's a lot of needs. A lot of people are hurting. People are losing their homes. They're losing their businesses. Listen, kids are struggling with this whole online learning because they can't get back to school because the pandemic is the virus is out of control. There's so much that needs to happen. And so we need to press our elected officials to do the work for us because they do work for us. So call and email your representatives. Make sure you let them hear from you. Say, listen, if you believe that this COVID package, the current one that the new administration is trying to get through, if you think it's good, if you support it, then let the people hear from you. If you live in Texas, I know we're stuck with John Cornyn and Ted Cruz. I call them anyway. Send them an email. They need to hear from you. Say, listen, we need you to vote to pass this bill. It may seem fruitless, but who would have thought that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would have won Georgia? Who would have thought that Georgia would have sent a Black man and a Jewish man to the Senate? So it's not pointless. It's not fruitless. We have to be engaged and stay engaged because the people in Washington didn't have any problem passing legislation that put tons of money, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars in the hands of the rich and wealthy. But now this is about saving the people. It's about saving the people. It's about you. It's about me. It's about your family. It's about your neighbors. It's about the stores in your community. It's about the teachers. It is about having the resources to make sure that this vaccine rollout gets better and that people can be vaccinated and be safe so that we can eventually get back to whatever our new normal way of being is going to be. I am convinced it will forever be changed, and that is not all bad. But if we don't press the envelope and let them hear from us, they'll just go on and do business as usual. I need to remind you that they all work for you, whether you voted for them or not. It doesn't matter if you didn't vote for John Cornyn or Ted Cruz or whatever state you live in, whoever the politicians are, they still work for you. They work for us. And they have really good jobs because even in a pandemic, their payroll doesn't get cut. Their benefits are not diminished. They're still able to do the things they do. And that's fine because they are charged with leading us and protecting and serving. So we need to make sure that they do that they protect and serve. And that means passing legislation that benefits all of us, not just a few people who are rich and making a lot of money off of it. We just have to be, we have to make sure that we're pressing them and doing the work. So stay engaged, okay? Stay engaged. That's super important. I want to remind you guys to do that. Also, make sure you're wearing your mask. The mask is the best thing we have right now. The mask and practicing social distancing. Listen, I know you're probably tired of being in the house, tired of not being able to be around many people. Depending on what part of the country you're in, like we're in Texas, we have some cool days, but you can move around outside a little bit. My friends on the East Coast are in a snowstorm. Not so much. But it's temporary, right? It's just temporary. We just have to get through it. We have to get through it. And so I would also encourage you to check on your friends, check on your family, pick up the phone and call somebody. Don't just send a text. Some people are not handling this isolation well. And I just encourage you to check in on somebody and say, hey, I just want to check in and see how you're doing. It may help people. There's some folk who need to hear a voice and they haven't heard that. And so the isolation can create some other problems. So I'm encouraging you to check on your friends and family or a neighbor. And, if you have some time, if you have a friend or people whose kids are at home learning online and their parents have to work because that's what you have to do, say, hey, well, let me check. Can I go by and check on your kid one day? Can I call them? I mean, I just think that we really have to embrace community right now in a way that we haven't probably in a really long time, because that is what community is. And so I'm encouraging you to check on the folks in your community, in your tribe, whoever they are, wherever they are. And it can be as simple as a phone call, and it doesn't have to cost you anything. So that's my encouragement for you today. But it also is to wear your mask, practice social distancing. Some of y'all be walking all on people. I'm not going to the grocery store and I'm trying not to just look at people really crazy, but why are you so close to me? Don't be those people, right? Don't be the people that are standing right next to somebody. 6 feet. You ought to really give them about 8 to 10 feet, because this new strand is more contagious, and every time I get in and out of my car, I'm using my hand sanitizer. And then of course I use my body butter that I make because my hands are super dry, because I have not the washing in this so bad, but the sanitizer has that alcohol. So I'm just saying, make sure that you are keep your supplies with you, keep mask in your car, maybe wear an extra mask, and do the things you need to do to take care of yourself and your family. All right. We are just about out of time for today, but I mentioned this off the top and I want to share it with you now. I've been talking about, and many of you have asked me, Kim, why don't you add an additional day, an additional show, an additional day? And so I am doing that. When I get everything finalized, I will share that with you. It looks like the additional day is going to be Wednesdays, and it'll be a different time slot. It will be at 1 p.m. It'll still be on, I'm still going to broadcast it on my Facebook and YouTube platforms, but it will be on a radio station based in Houston. And so I'm just waiting to work out the final details. And we've decided on Wednesdays from 1 to 3. So we'll have 2 hours. You can actually call in and talk to me or my guest. I'll do more interviews. I'll have more time. And I just want to ask you to put that in your little calendars. I'll let you know about it, and I think we'll start. I'm not sure when, if we'll wait till the first of the month or start in another week or two, but I think we'll have everything finalized in terms of what the relationship is, hopefully by the end of this week. And then I can start telling you about it. And then I'm going to ask you to tell your friends about it, because as we continue to grow the community, I need your help. I need you to be a part of it and to spread the word. And it'll be just what we do here on Chalk Talk, right? We talk about sports, but as I always say, sports is a microcosm of society. If it's happening in sports, it's really happening everywhere, right? It's big business. That's what sports is. So with that, again, thank you guys so much for your kind words during the transition of my mom, and her services were last week. I think they were great in terms of it being really a celebration of her life. And I just want to say thank you guys for supporting my family, for your kind words and your texts and your phone calls and your emails, and most importantly, for your prayers. And so with that, I'm going to sign off for today and say, remember, do something kind for someone else and do something kind for yourself.